All right, so my name is Rachel Newberry. I am the program director at RIoT. So I am responsible for our innovation programs, primarily the RIoT Accelerator Program. To jump in, we would like to give you just a brief overview of RIoT as a whole. We are an economic development nonprofit focused on sector growth in the Internet of Things. So we are looking at the economy now being driven by data and information technology and IoT. And so we help companies large and small take advantage of those opportunities. We quite literally started as a meetup group about 6 years ago, and convening is still a huge part of what we do. So today we run an event series that's both small format educational events like our Lunch and Learns that we operate in 4 cities now, and also kind of more typical conference looking events nationwide that might focus on a particular industry sector. And events, large and small, all focused on convening the business and technology community to help spur business development and networking and education around IoT. Another big kind of bucket of activity for us is our IoT ecosystem. So we operate as kind of an industry consortium model. In our network today, we have over 80 corporate sponsors. Again, we support all of these companies in exploring new IoT business opportunities and help them connect with each other, find the right resources and partners in the IoT space, and so on. This ecosystem has, technology partners across the IoT stack represented. So really, deep technical expertise in this network. And as you can tell, we kind of range from large multinational technology players all the way down to like smaller engineering consultancies or software dev firms, nonprofits, other economic development groups, and even startups. So many of these folks that you see here teach or mentor or provide resources in our accelerator program. So really the point here is to show you that, through participating in the program, you're really part of a much bigger ecosystem. And to continue giving you a view of kind of what this ecosystem entails, these are just some stats from 2019. So some are maybe a little bit outdated, but gives you a sense of all of the activity and the many participants in the RIoT network. You can see that we've got over 8,000 engaged RIoT members. We have chapters in Raleigh, Charlotte, Atlanta, and now Virginia as well. We have many companies that engage with us through our events. And of course, we work with a large group of startups as well over the years that have gone on to raise capital and create jobs in the region. So again, the participants that we work with through the RIoT Accelerator Program are plugging into a massive IoT ecosystem, a lot of resources, a lot of activity, a really kind of broad network to take advantage of. So to give a brief overview of the RIoT Accelerator Program, we launched this program formally in 2018. That's actually when I jumped on board. So my background is in startup support and building programs. Previous to RIoT, I worked at Duke University on the research side and developed, launched, and ran a startup program focused on behavioral science. And then jumped over to RIoT in 2018 to put a formal kind of cohort model around the way that we support startups. So, as we did a lot of convening in our early days, sort of a byproduct of that was we had a lot of entrepreneurs that started to come to us to get connected to mentors and resources and advice on their early stage ventures. And eventually we have scaled up that sort of one-to-one mentor support to this RIoT Accelerator program that you see today. So this program is designed to be a 12-week intensive program. We're very hands-on with the startups that we support. We run a variety of business and technical workshops to kind of give a foundational education to the startups. And then we also plug in a lot of mentorship. So that's mentorship directly from the RIoT team, as well as mentors that we match with our startups that stick with them through the duration of the program. And then, of course, that IoT ecosystem, all of the sponsors that we work with that you saw on a previous slide, those folks connect in to provide resources and advice and technology platforms as well. Down here at the bottom, you'll note that we are operating this program in Raleigh and in Wilson, North Carolina as well. So we're beginning to expand geographically to support entrepreneurs that are outside of the urban centers of the state, if you will. And really that just means that there's more opportunity for startups to plug in with RIoT. We're running multiple cohorts a year. Right now that's in Raleigh and Wilson, and we'll begin to expand the program even further. So there's, kind of ongoing opportunities for startups to jump into this program and leverage it as a resource to bring their products to market. This is just a high-level view of where we're at today as a program. So we are in the midst of our 5th cohort currently, but we have completed 4 cohorts that supported 32 startups. Those startups created over 100 jobs in the region, and they have collectively driven 47 million in revenue and raised additional kind of typical VC money on the order of about 8 million. So these are great kind of early indicators of success for the companies that we're supporting through RIoT. So we're excited to have a small part of that success and to continue to watch our alumni grow, and of course add more and more startups to this RAP ecosystem. All right, so a high-level view of the program. What you see here is kind of the overarching curriculum that we drive through RAP. So we generally progress startups through validation, so really ensuring strong problem solution fit, product market fit, a lot of customer discovery activity associated with that stage. We also craft key performance indicators as a kind of success metric with our startups at the start of the program so that we can help them to meet those milestones and also hold them accountable. We move through product development and business development. So on the technical side, we leverage a lot of our partners to come in and teach from their area of expertise on hardware and software and data topics. And then we place equal, if not more, emphasis on the business development side. So really helping startups to think strategically on go-to-market, sales, how to work with pilot partners and begin to scale their customer base and so on. And finally, we focus around growth as well. So what does it look like as you build your team? How do you structure your company? What are the roles and responsibilities you need to plan for? What is the right funding strategy? And then how do you scale your sales and begin to kind of storytell around the problem that you're solving more broadly? So we deliver this kind of overarching education through workshops on a weekly basis. And again, we layer in a lot of one-on-one mentorship outside of that so that you're not only getting a foundational education, but you're also getting the very specific resources and connections that you need for your particular business. The schedule that this program runs on is consistent. We keep programming to Mondays and Tuesdays. It's about an 8-hour-a-week time commitment in total. That's across, a couple workshop sessions a week and a couple of mentoring sessions every week. But the point is, we have a kind of predictable schedule for this program that makes it, really easy to participate and then leaves ample time for you to run your business and execute on that, because that is, of course, the priority. I will mention as well that we have been able to effectively run virtual programs through the kind of COVID-19 situation. We are planning to run our fall program on a virtual format, or at a very minimum, be accessible to remote participants. So that kind of gives the opportunity for startups from a much broader geography to perhaps participate. So we're excited about that. All right, so we get this question a lot of, am I qualified to provide? What kind of startups do we support? Am I a good fit? That kind of thing. So a few points here. We take a really broad approach to IoT. So some people are maybe intimidated by the IoT sort of criteria and think that means that you need to have proprietary hardware. That is not the case. We're certainly very comfortable working with hardware companies, and many do come through our program. But we also work with pure software companies and SaaS companies, and really the connecting thread is technology companies that are leveraging data in interesting ways to solve problems. So broad approach there. We're open to existing established startups. We work with companies that are at a concept level, and we also work with companies that are fully going to market. They're working with customers, they're generating revenue. So we're a bit stage agnostic in that regard, where we see quite a range in our cohorts, and we like to maintain that sort of diversity. And then we're also open to all industries. So we have worked with environmental monitoring, med device or healthcare startups, manufacturing, consumer products, just a huge range of things. So we're also very interested in kind of taking a broad approach to the types of companies we support from that angle as well. So really, we're open to hearing about any and all types of businesses, and we have the capacity to really support a lot of varying businesses. So we encourage everybody to apply. So the point here is really, you're probably a good fit for us. We've got a deep network, and it's very likely that we can support your growth. Another question that I get time and time again is, of course, what makes a compelling application into this program? First of all, our application process is pretty straightforward. It amounts to about 2 to 4 written pages. It's all of the kind of basics on your business that we want to get a good handle on. But I'd say we want to see these 3 things in particular. So indicators of problem solution fit. We want to understand that you have a really clear and defined understanding of the problem that you're solving, and that you have validated to some extent that the solution you're proposing is a strong fit. So oftentimes that means, we want to learn about what you have learned through customer discovery, how you've tested minimum viable products, tell us what your market looks like and why it's kind of right for your solution. So we want to see the kind of thought process and the experimentation that you've done to validate what you're working on. We're looking for really, viable business cases. We're certainly kind of a technology forward program, and really comfortable working with all types of technology. But if you don't have a strong business case behind that, what's the point? So, we certainly want to understand your technology to some degree, but to a much greater degree, we want to understand what your business model is and what your path to revenue is. And then finally, we're looking for strong teams. So, we want to learn about, your background, why you're well suited to address this problem. We want to know, why your skill set is a good fit to push this venture forward. But we also want to know that you are, humble and coachable enough to recognize where your blind spots are, or where your weak spots are, and what gaps you might want to fill on your team as you progress. That kind of, humility and openness with, knowing what you don't know, is a really good indicator to us that you're ready to, seek and listen to advice. You're ready to connect with a wide range of resources. And it also, indicates to us exactly what you need help with, and how we can then help you and support you the best that we can. A few other points on just what makes a strong application. We love to see a nice balance of being thorough and concise. As you can imagine, we're reading tons of applications each application cycle, so it's important for us to get a nice, full, and well-rounded picture of what you're doing, but in kind of the most concise way as possible, in as little words as possible. That really helps us just get straight to the point and get a really clear understanding of what you're doing. We certainly love to see data. So that's data around like your customer discovery process, or the market that you're going into, just anything that can help us quantify what you're doing and the kind of validation behind it. And then a final note that relationships build credibility. So we want to understand how you are kind of navigating this venture so far. Are you working with other entrepreneurial support organizations, other mentors, universities or academic institutions, or who your prospective customers are and how you're already communicating with them? Just anything that kind of ties you to the ecosystem and the market that you're going into is a good indicator of us that like you're spearheading this, you're out in the community and you're really seeking a wide range of advice and also connecting with real customers. So hopefully that helps in terms of how you approach our application process. Okay, I just have a couple more slides here. Want to share in particular some of the startups that we've worked with. So a few alumni to highlight here, and these folks actually range from, I think we've got, Microgrid Labs was in our very first cohort, Intake was in our third cohort, and then these last two, Shift Auto and Kinky Tresses, were in our spring cohort, our number 4 that just wrapped up in May. So just to give you a sense of some of these companies, Microgrid Labs, they're in the energy space. They help with organizations or municipal governments to plan EV charging grids and how to leverage those kinds of resources. Microgrid recently participated in the Shell Accelerator Program down in Houston, Texas. They got an investment of about $300K through that program. And they're also currently working with NASA as a pilot customer. So that's great. Intake, they have an at-home health monitoring device that's actually an in-toilet device that gets data from urine samples, and they can act as a preventative healthcare solution in many regards. They recently secured a phase 2 SBIR grant that injected about $1 million of capital into their technical development. So that was an exciting milestone for them. Shift Auto, a company that's really just killing it right now. They coincidentally kind of started to really go to market and scale their sales process right as the pandemic hit. But they have this kind of naturally socially distant solution. So they have a remote pickup and drop off service for car maintenance, where they'll pick up your car, take it to the dealership, get it serviced, and then return it. And so that was kind of a nice fit for this, the current state of our economy. And so they started selling in March. Today, they're up to 21 stores. They're working with 21 dealership customers. Also talking to 3, global companies about significant partnerships, and they're just well on their way. And then wanted to highlight Kinky Tresses as well, because this is kind of a non-traditional startup, if you will. So as you can imagine, we work with a lot of technology startups, but our philosophy is that every business on some level is a technology business. And Kinky Tresses is a consumer product company. The founder has created a natural hair care and bath and body line. She leverages, of course, e-commerce as a platform to deliver her solutions. And so we worked with this company on how they curate their data around their customers, and how they reach their customers in a more effective way, and so on. And Kinky Tresses actually had their best month of revenue in April in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. So great progress for them as well. So we're seeing great success across the board so far with RAP companies bringing on partners and customers, securing non-dilutive grant funding, as well as closing VC rounds and certainly growing their teams as well. To share just a couple more, these folks are startups that we've supported that have just been in the news recently. Kilo Medical Solutions, they have an incubator for neonatal ICUs that does better light cycling for newborns, which has kind of proven health outcomes. They recently participated in the Alumni Accelerator up in New York to kind of further the sophistication of their technical product. Greenstream is a company that we love to talk about. They have a flood monitoring device. They recently took part in RIoT's regional data sharing project, which was a collaboration between several Central North Carolina municipal governments on how to better share smart cities data across each other. And Greenstream was the kind of pilot application for that project. They recently won an NC IDEA grant, and also through our program, they closed a contract with the North Carolina state government to begin deploying their sensors across the state. Battery Exchange, Charlotte-based company. The founder, Desmond Wigan, recently completed a successful crowdfund campaign. So we're really excited about that. This was equity crowdfunding. So they were actually the first successful equity crowdfunding campaign for a North Carolina company. They're partnering with the Charlotte Convention Center as an early customer. So great progress for Battery Exchange. And then finally, Green2Go. Green2Go is actually in our very first cohort of RAP. Really interesting company that at the time they came to us, they were operating this reusable takeout container service in Durham with about 25 restaurants, but they had not integrated technology in any way, shape, or form. But they recognized that there was a lot of opportunity in kind of connecting their takeout containers. And so we worked with them on what that might look like, what technology to use, how to kind of further the analytics side of the business and so on. But Green2Go has been, successfully operating in Durham. Another really fun story is that they recently collaborated with another RAP alumni that has an asset tracking solution. And together they piloted a solution with the Durham Waste Management Department to see if they could cycle reusable containers through the existing recycling infrastructure. And they did so successfully, which was really awesome. So we've got 32 alumni, soon to be 40 alumni. So lots of companies doing really interesting things, huge range of solutions, and we're really excited to continue to see all of these companies progress. All right, so that is about all that I have today. Just to speak a little bit more to the application process, our deadline is coming up on July 31st. You can find the application on our website. It's a two-part application, so you'll have a written application form, and then you'll submit it through a separate form that collects a bit more data around your company, but pretty low commitment. And we love to just learn more about what companies in our region are doing and support them in any way that we can. We also love to see repeat applicants. That's a really nice way for us to just get familiar with you, learn more about your company through an initial application. And if the timing is not right to bring you into the next cohort, then we love to see your progress down the road. It gives us, some really nice data points to keep up with you through another RAP application. My email is listed here. I am happy to connect with you further. I'd love to learn more about what you're doing or answer any questions you might have. And actually, I'm happy to do that right now. So I will stop talking and give you folks a few seconds to digest, but feel free to unmute yourself at this point and ask any questions you might have.
Hi, this is Gopal. Can you hear me?
Hello, Gopal. Yes, I can hear you.
My question is, I just want to know if I don't have my own company as an individual, can I still fill an application or do I have to register a company first?
Great question. So I would say that if you don't yet have a company or a concept that you're working on, it probably doesn't make sense quite yet to go through the formal application process. But I would love to hear from you separately. So if you, shoot me an email with, just more information on how you're looking to get plugged in, that's a better way for us to connect, and I can get to know more about you and your background and your interests, and how to plug you into the accelerator or just the broader RIoT ecosystem. I'll mention too that we have a lot of folks that come to us that are kind of they're entrepreneurial and they're interested in getting engaged with the startup. And oftentimes there are opportunities for us to plug in individuals with startup teams that we bring through RAP. So connect with me, outside of the application process, and would love to learn more and see how we can get you plugged in.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hey, Rachel, this is Doug Dolan. Hi. So thanks for the presentation. I have a business. It's fairly new. I started in January, and I'm a recruiter specifically. I started the company focusing on IoT specialties, and it's just been a slow time over the last 6 months. I've done a lot of thinking. But looking at your program, I'm wondering whether there might be a need for sort of a recruiter that works independently for the companies that need people. They can't usually afford a recruiter. Maybe there could be some kind of a network and this could be one of those businesses that just kind of serves that industry for a low cost, maybe to bring in people to different companies that need it, or network opportunities together. You guys are already doing it to some extent, but is there a need? Do you see a need for that kind of thing?
Yeah, so certainly the startups that we work with, they're at a point where our typical team size is probably 2 to 5 people, but they're growing companies that eventually they'll need to bring on more talent. And so certainly a need to kind of source talent and place jobs with the companies that we support. We've had a number of requests over the years too of, would RIoT put together a job board or some kind of jobs resource. We don't think that a job board is necessarily the right solution, but we are trying to look for ways to more intentionally pipeline talent to not just the startups that we support, but oftentimes
Sure.
the corporate partners.
Yep.
So would love to talk further about how we might work together and support what each other are doing.
Good to know. I'll send you an email.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Rachel. This is Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Hi. I know it's very early in establishing a relationship, RIoT presence in Stafford in Northern Virginia, but I was wondering if you had any thoughts about where they might be in the fall with respect to having mentors or partner companies in place up there for those of us who might not be in the Raleigh area.
Yeah, that's a great question, Mark, and we'll certainly keep you updated as we kind of ramp up activity in Stafford. Mark, you should definitely participate. We've got an event coming up at the end of the month with the Stafford community. That's it's kind of a community town hall to get to know more of the kind of business needs up there. So that will inform a lot of our work moving forward. In the meantime, we're hosting a number of events that are kind of focused more on the Northern Virginia region. And then our plan is to eventually ramp up to hosting a RIoT Accelerator program there, but that's likely not until mid to late 2021. In the meantime, though, I'm certainly interested in connecting with mentors and folks in the business community in the Richmond and Northern Virginia area. I'm also interested in hearing from startups in that region and potentially bringing some Virginia startups through the fall program to go ahead and start supporting your region up there. So yeah, I think we're starting to ramp up. So would love to talk more and get you more involved in our efforts up there.
Great, thanks. We'll talk.
Well, thanks, Mark.
Hey, Rachel, this is Griffin.
Hey, Griffin.
Hey. For the application, there's a lot of stuff about what customer discovery we have already done. And we've been working for about 6 months on our project and have a decent amount, but we noticed that the first quarter of the class is about more customer discovery. What level of detail or how much customer discovery would a typical applicant have before going into the?
Yeah, great question. It really ranges because we're open to helping different stages of development. So sometimes companies will come to us and they're so early on that they haven't done any customer discovery. But we like to see that they're how they're thinking about that and what kinds of stakeholders they know they need to get engaged with and talk to push their concept forward and inform their concept. And then other companies are at a point where they feel like they've validated it to some extent. So they'll give us some detail around number of customer discovery conversations, what types of stakeholders they've engaged with, what kind of concrete insights they got out of those conversations and what that means for their product or the evolution of their idea. The bottom line is we like to see kind of a backed up thought process in the problem that you're approaching and how you're designing your solution and why you're making the decisions that you are. The final thing I'll mention is that, we focus always on customer discovery and validation at the start of our program. Our philosophy there is that as a startup, you should always be engaging with your market and your stakeholders. So we think about customer discovery as a necessary continuous process, no matter the stage of your business. And so for companies that are coming in that already have a solution that they're delivering to a market, but there's always a need for some level of customer discovery. They might be exploring a new market sector. That's a common case that we get. And so that's kind of a fresh round of customer discovery, if you will, with an entirely different stakeholder group. I'll pause there. Does that answer your question, or is there another angle I can take?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Great. Good question.
Hi, Rachel. My name is Ori.
Hey, Ori.
So I had a question. If you could just repeat again what you guys are doing during these times, how the accelerator is a little bit different. Is it more online or is it in person?
Yeah, great question. So we have run now pretty much 2 programs in a totally virtual format during COVID-19. I think we've done that really successfully. Of course, there's a lot of value too in being able to get together in person and kind of the organic networking that happens there. But I think the startups that we've worked with over these past 2 cohorts have gotten a lot of value out of the program, and I'm happy to connect you with those founders to hear about their experience participating in something like this virtually. We do plan to, it's very likely that we'll run a fully virtual cohort for the fall as well. So we're moving forward with that as the kind of operating plan. I think there's a possibility as we see things progress with the pandemic that we'll be able to reconvene folks in person. But right now we're running workshops over Zoom like this. All of our mentor sessions happen like this, and I think it's been quite effective so far.
Thank you.
The good news is, running in a virtual format, as I mentioned, it enables folks to participate that might not otherwise be able to. For example, we've got a founder that's based in Wilmington now that might have been able to travel in with things normal, but he's got a new baby arrived a couple weeks before the program. So there's of course circumstances where folks can't relocate or travel in. So it's nice to kind of be accessible in that way. I'll mention too that so RIoT Labs is based out of HQ Raleigh, which is a co-working community in downtown Raleigh. We offer free office space for startups that come through our program. Of course, with the current situation where we're likely running a fully remote program, that offering will be extended to normal time. So we do have office space, a prototyping facility, and kind of a broader co-working network that folks can take advantage of in the long term. What else can I help with? Any other questions on the line?
Okay, I got a tech question.
Go ahead.
So I've got a tech agency in town. So for companies that don't develop their own hardware, do you have like a go-to IoT platform that you're having good successes with for a lot of your startups that they prefer, like say Aon or an Intel-based thing or Cradlepoint or something like that?
Yeah, great question. So within our sponsor ecosystem and the kind of broader network that we're tapped into, we've got companies and partners that represent all pieces of the IoT tech stack. So really what we would first do with any startup is understand the problem that you're solving, and of course like the technology comes second. So how do we solve that problem? How do we leverage technology to solve that problem? And then what are the right partners to plug in to support your solution? So kind of anyone in the hardware, software, data analytics, cloud platforms, anything that you could really need to deliver a technology solution, we're connected to multiple partners in each of those categories. So a lot of the times we work with startups to understand what their needs are, who they might want to partner with, and then we'll connect them with a variety of resources, and they can kind of vet those partners themselves.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else, folks?
Thank you, Rachel.
Great, thanks, Doug. Yeah, thanks y'all for participating. Feel free to reach out to my email if you'd like to have a deeper discussion. I'm happy to answer any questions or take a deeper dive on anything. But yeah, hope to see some applications from you all and just get to know you better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.